Daniela Sigia here from Textile Waste Diversion, and I wanted you to hear from me directly why I refuse to speak to Susan Burgess of the CBC. Now, we did give a statement to a Post media journalist, and I actually read it to you on this page, so you know exactly what I said to them. And I did put a statement, and I've been ranting and raving all over my own business pages about this on LinkedIn. So I've said plenty on this topic. As a matter of fact, I say more than most on the topic of used clothing bin donation safety and the root cause of the problems we're seeing with some homeless people accessing very few kind of models of bins that have the security feature that is causing this safety issue. Ironically, that a security feature is causing this problem. And in any case, I've spoken a lot about this, and that the root cause, there's two root causes. A, poverty just in general, but also the fact that in our shelter system, and for a very good reason, someone who is intoxicated is not allowed to be on the premises. But we know that there's a massive demographic of homeless person that suffers addiction, which means when they're under the influence, they have nowhere to go. But opening what's called a wet shelter is very difficult to do because liability. Imagine putting 50 people that are under the influence of substances, sometimes even hallucinogenics, in one room. That's dangerous, and it could be a problem. So that's why we don't see wet shelters. But in the meantime, what do we do with these people? So they're kind of scattered, and they force their way into sometimes private properties. You'll see them in the bank foyers, where you go to the bank machine. Sometimes you'll see them there in 24-hour laundromats, so they try to find spots that they can huddle, stairwells, for example, of buildings, that kind of thing. And used clothing donation bins is one of those places. A lot of addicts die in fast food restaurant bathrooms. We're not going to ban fast food restaurants, right? So this trespassing by people under the influence of substances is the actual problem. It's not the bin. So every collector I know, I've spoken to every one of my clients at this point, they've got all their people on the field with drills and snips and whatever to undo the chains or to remove the safety features where they are. But Susan Burgess reached out and asked me for a statement today. And I've dealt with Susan Burgess before. And in my opinion, she writes like a gossip columnist. And as a matter of fact, she actually destroyed the reputation of an innocent man. And when I tried to give her the information to fix her mistake or to avoid even making the mistake in the first place, and I gave her meat for a really awesome story that actually would have been better story than the one she was writing, she completely ignored it, took the clickbait, and trashed an innocent guy. So I refused to speak to Susan Burgess, but what I did do was make myself available to any of the competition of CBC. So if any competitor of CBC would like to do an in-depth interview to really unpack this industry, to unpack this issue, to unpack the things happening, but they're logical, reasonable people that are not coming at me with a predetermined agenda, which, by the way, is to help a foreign-owned Goliath monopolize the industry in Ontario. I'm ready to out all of that. So feel free to speak with me, ask me all your questions, as I've always been happy to answer, but I won't have that conversation with Susan Burgess because, Susan, you are not worthy. Have a great day, everyone.